Kia ora. I knew that would work. First, thank you so much, Pastor Kent, for not only housing us here in church, but just letting us come and share our hearts. You guys legit have the coolest pastor I have ever met in my life. This guy, Kent, is crazy. He's got a mullet. It's amazing. I had one about 4 days ago, and I just cut it off because we were in Rotorua, so it smelled like sulfur. So it had to go. But, yeah. Who's ready to see revival in New Zealand? Like, who's ready to see revival in New Zealand? Like, from this point, people to go into other nations and spread the gospel. Like, there's such a prophetic call over New Zealand, and it's just like, Islanders are going to go out, and I believe Islanders specifically, Māori people, are going to leave, and they're going to go spread the gospel, and it's going to start from this end of the earth, and it's going to wrap all the way back around. But today, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me and what God's doing in my life and what he has done and will continue to do. So my name's Isaac, and I grew up in Canada. I was born in Albuquerque, if you know where that is. That's in New Mexico. Yeah. And so I was born there, and I moved to Canada when I was about 5 years old, and loved it, loved Canada, it's great. And I grew up in a Christian home, very Christian home. I went to a Christian school and, memorized the Bible verses and did all that cool stuff, loved Jesus, went to church. And Christian school my whole life, but grade 12 comes around. For me, that's year 13 for you guys, right? So grade 12, and COVID happens, 2020, shuts down. My school ends halfway through the year. My grades were great because it was only half of them, so I did really well. But I just started losing friends because, when school ends in high school, you don't keep around the same friends. And unfortunately, one of those friends was Jesus, because to me, he was just a friend who was convenient to have at school and at church. I wasn't my own relationship. He wasn't my father. I didn't feel like his son. I didn't feel loved. I honestly could tell you I probably didn't love Jesus either. I would sing the songs and I would say, like, Jesus, I love you. But I didn't know what that meant. And I just didn't know what power that held. And I lived a life of compromise. Each day my conviction would drop and lower and lower and lower. And I would do things that I said, I'd never do that. And then I'd be doing them, and they'd just get worse and worse and worse. And I found myself just so lukewarm. And the Bible legit says in Revelation 3:16, but since you are like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. That's our God saying that if you're like not one thing and you're not this one, it's like that's almost worse than just being cold, I think, because you're lying. You're not just lying to yourself, but you're lying to God and people around you. It's like I would go to church hungover in the morning. I go party on Saturday, and I'd come to church in the morning. I'd just sing my songs, and it was like that's not what we're called to do. Not how we're supposed to live. But anyways, yeah, I was living in the world, half a foot in the world, half a foot in church, and one day I was just at the bottom, and God met me, and he said, "What are you doing? Grow up. It's time to go." And I decided, I was at such a low point in my life, and I was so empty in here, and I just didn't know what to do. And I was like, hey, God, every time I was reading my Bible and praying, I felt so good. I loved how I felt. So I kept, trying to read, but I would still live my life. And I would still live my life. And then I would just read my Bible and I'd pray, but I'd live my life. And it got so bad to the point where I was just like, one day I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I don't know I feel so empty. Nothing fills me. The Bible's supposed to be doing it, but I don't understand why it's not. And obviously it's because I was being an idiot. But I decided, you know what? I have to do YWAM. I think missions is I've been called to do it before. I've been called to do this before. I'm just going to listen for once. For once, I'm going to listen up. Yeah. And so I signed up, and I felt like, why wait for YWAM? Like, why would I wait for some organization to change me when all I need is just to look at him And so I did that. I started to look at him, and I got deeper and deeper, and my friends started to leave me. They're like, you're weird, you're crazy. And I was like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a little weird. I think we're all supposed to be a little bit weird. And so we get to YWAM, and I met God like I've never met him before in my life. And it's the second week of our DTS, our lecture phase, where we learn how to effectively preach the gospel, effectively share God's love. And it's a worship night, and I'm standing at the back, and I came in late. And at this point, I had back pain for 8 years because high jump incident, track and field, really hurt my spine, just constant back pain. And I remember I was standing at the back of the room, and they were worshiping, and I just felt like tonight's the night, like I'm all in. I'm so done with the world, and I'm so done with being lukewarm. I want to be on fire. I want to go. I'm saying yes, God. So I got on my knees, and I said, God, I'm yours. I say yes, send me. It's so much better your way, send me. I'm yours. And I stood up, and I felt every single vertebrae in my back click, and I haven't had back pain since. Not one person laid hands on me. Not one person prayed for me. It was just me saying, God, I'm yours, and he made me whole again so that I can do the work that he's called me to do. And that's each person in this room. If you're living in the world, I'm telling you right now, it's not worth it, man. If you're finding your identity in the world, it's not worth it. You're not who they say you are. You're who he says you are. And once you figure that out, you're set. You're set. You're not going to see revival if you're on both sides. It takes a nation on fire to see revival. It takes a nation that says, I'm all in for you, God, to see revival. If you're just hopping in and out, like let's say like I go and preach the gospel or something to some dude, and then I go and I run over and I'm like partying at like 4 a.m. at like the club, and this guy walks in and sees me, like what's he gonna think? What different are they? What different are Christians? They're just talking out, they're just making stuff up. That doesn't mean anything to them. He'll spit you out if you're lukewarm. It's just biblical. I'm sorry. Just how it is. Yeah. I just want to, we saw like revival. I said, are you ready to see revival? I'm telling you it's happening, like right now. Like it's not like it's in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. It's happening right now. Yeah, just yesterday, 2 young men and 1 young woman gave their life to Jesus, just on the street. Like, come on. 2 young men and 2 young women are saved. They're not going to hell. They're part of the family. Dylan, my one leader, gave his Bible away. He got this Bible in South Africa on his outreach. And this kid didn't have a Bible, he just gave it to him. Emery was able to, the other girl on my team, bought a girl a Bible after she gave the gospel. And it wasn't hard. It's not like they walked up to them and like, gave them the whole business plan and they had the chart. They asked them, do you want Jesus? And they said, yeah, why wouldn't I? The harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. Where are the laborers? Stop being lukewarm. It's harsh, but like he'll spit you out. It's time to go. And he's called all of us to fulfill a great commission. How are you supposed to fulfill that commission? If you're like purposely like not looking at him. And he just keeps calling you and you're like, gotcha. And you're doing your own thing. Revival's happening right now. We're in the early stages of it. We just came from Rotorua and we saw a city on fire. Young people just preaching the gospel. They never even had it preached to them. They're just running out and they're just like, I want to go. They're skipping school. I want to go. I want to just, I love God so much. I just want to go and tell people about him. It's happening here too. Just 2 nights ago, over 45 kids gave their life to Jesus in this room. In this room. This is your church, guys. Your city, your nation. And it's just so encouraging. Coming to a place where I'm thinking like, oh, it's going to be very similar to Canada. It's like Canada, but like on fire for Jesus in the right places. And like, it's just going to take one more spark. One more spark. And I think we're all a part of that spark we get to be. So yeah, I just want to encourage you guys, like, revival's happening. Don't be lukewarm. Just don't do it, man. It's not a good idea. So much better his way. I can tell you right now that it's mine. My relationship is finally mine. I'm his and he's mine. The night I realized that was the night after my back was healed and I said yes, and I just wept in my bed. I cried. I was like, I felt so much love, and I never felt that before. I can confidently tell you right now that I know who he is, and he speaks to me all the time. Like, I actually was speaking about identity today, and then 10 minutes before the sermon, we were praying, I'm like, no, God wants something else to be spoke out of this church today, and just like, I have a relationship with him now, and it's so good. It's so good, and that's for all of you too. Yeah, thank you guys.